Hello and welcome to Chess Please. My name is Andy and today I'm going to talk to you about why you should play chess. Now, when we talk about why you should play chess, there are a number of academic reasons why you should play chess. For example, it can improve your memory and help stave off dementia. It can help improve creativity in all other aspects of your life, and it can even be used to treat and improve the symptoms of ADHD. But we're not going to talk about any of those today. You can look into those in your own time. But the real reason and why I recommend people should play chess is because it is really, really fun. It is just a very exhilarating, engaging game that scratches an itch in my head like no other game does. It kind of brings together the lovely satisfaction of solving puzzles with the kind of exhilarating fun of competing. But there isn't really any academic study to show you how fun chess is, so I thought I would do my own part here. Just gonna play through a few games, gonna try and talk through my thought processes and what I'm finding fun about the games, in hopefully a pretty organic way. But let's just jump on in and have a bit of fun playing chess. Okay, here we go. Our first game. So again, I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to be like, whoa, this is so fun. We're just going to get our pieces into the mix. We're just going to play a standard game and see what we think. So this is a Sicilian opening. This is what I play. In general, you want to put your knight behind this c-pawn. You just don't want to block in your c-pawn like that. And when I see the bishop like this, this is called biting on granite when a bishop stares into protected pawns like this. In this particular case, I do like to kind of get in the bishop's grill and take a little bit more space in the center. And I don't see any reason not to do that right now. So we're just gonna charge on into the middle of the board, take a nice little bit of central space, and we'll get the rest of our pieces out. The knight jumps in, protects the pawn, develops a piece. You can't go wrong. Yeah, again, very hard to quantify, like, oh, I'm having so much fun right now, and I don't want to do that, but I think once we get into maybe the thinkier pieces of the game, like, again, we're just sort of developing our pieces right now. Once we get into the meat and potatoes of things, I think there will be a little bit more fun to show you, in so many words. So, now we have this final minor piece to develop. Here makes sense to me. Yeah, that seems to make sense. I don't see anywhere else this bishop can go. Like, that's not a great square. Doesn't really do much. There's a little temptation to develop the queen first, but I don't think there's any benefit to doing that. Let's just firm up our center. Yeah, we thought this might happen. And I might even go... Actually, so the problem here is the knight is attacking our bishop. In general, the advice is you don't want to trade off a knight for a bishop necessarily, or you want to trade off one of your bishops for a knight, because bishops are technically a little bit better. But I am seeing greater opportunities here, because we don't necessarily, like, here we would take back with the pawn, which would open up our rook, which would be quite nice. And this bishop, we could do work to block in this bishop a little further, which would mean our lack of a light square bishop isn't going to be that big of a deal. Let's see if we can actually bring that to action, bring that to fruition, with a quick little hey-ho. Now, this is one problem, is this is a very weak pawn, but we have a rook over here that's doing nothing. So let's just get it to do a little bit less nothing and protect that pawn. That's not a bad move, but we're going to just expand on this queen side, again with the hope of hemming in that light square bishop forever. And then we can kind of work away on our open access to this king side. I really don't mind that trade-off. That's fine by me. Yeah, that's absolutely no worries. Gives us a little bit of time to engage our pawns here. This is defended, so that's fine. Are we having so much fun? I really am now, like, in the thick of it. I'm like, maybe it is a little flawed of a concept to be like, here's how much fun I'm having, but I don't care. This is fun, man. I'm enjoying it. This is why you should play chess. I think there is an element of it, of just like every single game is like this weird competitive battle That has never happened before. The kind of uniqueness of every single game, which will, like, sometimes you'll play games that are like mimicking each other that you may feel like you've played before, but in general, a lot of these games are novelty after a certain point. So we'll complete our plan of blocking in this bishop, and then we can get this and this. So that's our plan, which is we have been able to enact it. That doesn't mean it was a good plan. So that's one thing to be aware of. Just because you have been able to do all the things that we wanted to, that in no way entitles us to think that we're winning. But I would rather have a plan and fail as such. Well, you see here now there's trouble because he can jump on in. Yeah, that's a nice move. We should have been a little bit more critical of this because. Oh, well, actually, we can throw in. It's interesting. I'm worried about this knight coming in. Once we take back with this rook, the knight can come in. We can throw in a check here. King comes here. This bishop finds itself in a very strange and rather precarious position. But it does mean we can capture back, and we don't have to capture back with that pawn. And I think, yeah, we can do that first. There is a way, once we go here, if they bring out this bishop, then that bishop is kind of trapped in there. And is cut off from the queen, which actually isn't great, but we can cross that bridge upon arrival because we were losing that piece anyhow. This is check, so we want to be a little bit careful. That'll work for me. That will work for me. And now we're just going to shift the rook ever slightly out of the grubby paws of that knight. This bishop is blunted, so that's not too bad. Now, one thing we might do, if we're looking at maybe our worst piece, if you want to check out my last video on improving your worst piece, this rook is maybe our worst piece right now because it's just staring at the back of this pawn, which is defended, and could be doing a little bit more. So, Baba Booey. Not opposed to a sort of a take. When we take with the queen there, we're laughing. King could come up here and really scupper things for us, but yeah, that's fair. That's a decent move. Okay, we're gonna do this. This is all not going great, but that's fine. We are gonna be down 2 points of material here. I thought we were gonna be able to get another pawn, but this knight can just jump back here. The king coming back in to help here was something we should have been aware of. And there's maybe a claim to just trade, take with the rook, take with the knight, take with the queen. And then you are down the same amount of material, but this pawn no longer exists. So, yeah, not so bad. Well, to that end, if this knight moves, we do have the slammer jammer. So I'm just going to put a little bit more. No, that's not true. I was going to do this, blunder another pawn. We can get our knight in the mix, but he doesn't really do much there. So that's interesting too. This is a weird and fun move that I wouldn't care to face. But I think that rook is okay for the moment here. We're just going to do this. That knight's next move is not all that clear to me. There's interesting, because it actually is defended. And they're only defending it with their queen, so that could be useful to us. It's not a bad move. It's not a bad move. Sort of makes us trade queens, which is annoying. Does it make us trade queens? Probably. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see any way out. If we go here, we're threatening this, but the knight is still defending, so there's no real rush there. Okay, we're just going to trade off and see if we can't work our magic this ways. So we are, what are we? We're 2 pawns down in the form of an extra piece. The only thing going for us is this bishop in jail. So as far as plans go, I'm happy with that one. The rest of it, we could have been a little tighter. We could have been a little bit more conscious. I forget where we lost. Oh, we got our bishop trapped. That was particularly what happened. Right. Oh, that's a decent move, I suppose. This looks interesting, and really the only one that was interesting. And once they move this, I mean, they could move there and the trades just keep on a coming. But that would actually be a mistake, because we could then take, it would take back, we move their knight away with a discovered check. It's complicated. There's a world in which they blunder that. Okay, don't mind that. Let's put the squeeze on here. Look here seems fine also. Yeah, that did seem okay, didn't it? Let's try something a little nuts. Give up that pawn. We're looking for here. That's okay with me. Should it be though? Probably not. We're running out of time. Happy to make the trade. Shouldn't be happy to make the trade, but we are. For some reason, we are happy to make this trade. Could I have just taken his knight? No, we moved the pawn. That's fine. That's actually not bad. We force this knight to move. Which opens up here, which might open up here, so we might have got lucky there. Very complicated. Despite being way down on material against our opponent, Benito Surf. Very cool name. A very cool customer. Okay. I think I get a little more from this trade. We can do this now. Go things like this. Another one. Keep an eye here. Bishop is now out of jail, but we got two passers now. Not the worst compensation I've ever heard. The rook is still tied to defending that bishop. I thought they would forget about that. I thought they might. But we want to be careful here. You don't want to get hemmed in with a little checkmate. Because pawn here stops the king from exiting. So you need to move the king here. Well, that's nothing. Yeah, I feel like they're not going to be able to get back in time to stop any of this. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Fun time by all. But that actually was a pretty fun game, to be honest. It was pretty complicated. I can't imagine it was the most accurate, but we got our pieces out. The battle lines, I would say once you castle, and you might argue once you get the rest of your pieces out. So let's say here you kind of say the battle lines are drawn. The shape of the game is sort of set out. We have a decent center here that is gearing up to put that bishop in jail. We have a nice queen bishop battery. On the other hand, we have a pretty weak pawn here and weak pawn structure where the king could potentially be exposed. And they have a lot of open routes into our king side. So that's the argument. That's the two sort of players doing their best to get things up and running. We enact our plan. They are again able to weaken our king side a little bit. This was folly. But it was the only thing I could think of to redeem ourselves, because the mistake is actually here when we take this pawn this way. We might have been able to take that way, and I think we're grooving, because then the queen no longer makes contact with the bishop. And what's this pawn doing here really? It's keeping the knight out of here, I suppose, but the knight's not doing anything there, so that's fine. So taking this way, that's where I would maybe go back, because then that's the problem. The problem is already, taking with the rook and putting the bishop in there. Those are recovery. That's like, when you get if you're making a golf shot, you end up in the sand. You're making your recovery shot. It's obviously not going to go as well as a shot off the fairway or the green, but you do what you can with what's already gone wrong. And I think we did a good job. We did a good job of just keeping it complicated. A few times we did allow some trades, like here, that's kind of a forced trade. And trades in general favor the player who has more material, because as more material comes off the board, each piece has a bigger proportional value of what's left. That's the theory, but it doesn't always work out like that. Now we were able to, again, just listen. You don't need to protect every single penny and nickel and dime if you're making the right moves. So again, here it was like, oh, they didn't protect their knight. They countered with attacking our knight. And we don't have to move this knight to a feeble square. A knight's on offer. We can accept that trade. And I did, because we get to do our bit first. They have to take time to capture back. And that lets us in here, which ended up being where we were able to wreak a lot of havoc. These two passed pawns become an absolute nightmare. I think, like, even if they don't blunder their bishop, there's a chance we're still winning this game. They do blunder their bishop, which is also very fun. And then here they resign, because we can just push there, get a queen, and they'd be mad not to capture back that queen. And we would take with the rook, and then we just hoover this guy up, promote there, it's all over. So that's one game. Let's go for another and keep the good times a rolling. We have the white pieces now. Unreal. I'm going to play my Collie system, which is my opening for white. Oh, they've opted out of it immediately with this king gambit thing, but we're just going to take that. We're going to take that. I don't really understand what the point of all this is, but you kind of need to be on guard. When somebody plays an opening you're not familiar with, there's a good chance that's like their pet opening, and that they're really nice with it and they know some tricks that you don't know. So it's definitely not a time to rest on your laurels, I would say. But the principles don't really change. We want to just keep developing. And the best piece to develop Probably this pawn. No. Yeah, this knight's good. Sometimes you want to play this c pawn before your knight, but it's not as big a deal in different openings. This opening it's not a particularly big deal because we're not really fighting for the center right now, and I'm sure maybe the computer is like, no, you should have put that out. But it allows us to bring this out with defense. Queen here, maybe. Bishop there is okay. We're gonna develop here, which is fine. And we're gonna do this. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. See, now we gotta be careful, because this bishop, if we were to castle, if we were just mindlessly castle here, king ends up here, their turn, they take here with the bishop, check, and as a result, the rook is then staring at our queen. So we got to be a little bit careful here, because there's not that much room to operate here. And I actually like this as a multi-purpose move. Do I? I was like here, oh, excuse me. Here, you hit the queen, you block the attack, you hit the knight, which is pinned to the queen, but you do lose your defense of this guy. So we could probably prepare it with this. That's still a tempo move. Okay, I think we can actually get the pawn back anyway. So we're going to leave the queen here. We're going to bring the knight here. If they see this, which again, there's no way to play chess if you see the right continuation. They see that, that's annoying, obviously, but we can live with it. We can live with it with takes. Or do we take with the knight first, I wonder? We'll cross that bridge. So we thought something was funny. We are up a pawn, don't forget, from their weird opening way back when. But being up a pawn is small potatoes when it comes to not losing your queen. So we're going to take with the knight here. There's shenanigans here. Okay, this looks like it wins a rook of sorts. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, we see, we've fallen fell. We've fallen fell. Oh, we haven't. Bishop here. Check. Rook. Attacking our queen. Yeah. Bogus. Bogus town. USA. Right. Okay, it's trouble. Trouble a brewing. You see these pet openings. We could have played that a lot better, but we did not. We got a little greedy. We saw the folly of our move here, so we weren't playing. We weren't locked in, as the kids say. We lost our queen as a result. That's more trouble. Okay. Oof, this is we're in deep trouble here. This is going to be necessary. Just that's hectically dangerous. Castling would be nice, but we would also, well, castling is fine actually now. Yeah, let's castle. That's the least we can do. The very least. We are in trouble here. I don't even know what that opening was called. Maybe King's Gambit, maybe something of the sort. But all we can do now is just complicate the game. And this looks complicated to me. We just do what we can. Uh-oh. This is very complicated. And not necessarily in our favor, but complicated situations tend to bring out mistakes. And we need a mistake to happen, so no harm, no foul. Gotta be wary of just like takes. And then if we just mindlessly take back here, then that's checkmate. Okay. That's interesting. So we keep the pressure on the queen. Which looks fun. That just looks fun. So listen, blunders are going to happen. I think that's a very important thing. That's very frustrating for new players. Is when you lose a piece like that. Like we lost our queen, even though we telegraphed that that might happen. We just didn't do enough. Didn't spend the time. Didn't assess the threats well enough. And we paid the ultimate price. The ultimate price? We paid a price. Okay, we're gonna go for another little trick, little shenanigan here, and that is moving our knight out here because we see the king and the queen are aligned. It's no big deal now with the bishop here, but if we do this, maybe he moves back here. He or she, Arturas rep from Lithuania. Maybe they just don't see this connection, and maybe we storm on in here. And we're back on level terms. We're back on level terms. Can you imagine that? Incredible. So hopefully they just make a little mindless move here. That's not mindless. That's a good move. But it doesn't solve all of their problems, I would say. We can keep the threat. We can keep the threat. Do not go quiet into that good night, or however that poem goes. See, there's a chance here. Chance they just well, they're not going to slot back here. They're probably going to slot back here. We're gonna keep on cooking up our devious little strategies. That check discovery is annoying, so we can protect against it and get our king a little bit more room to operate in one fell swoop. And it's okay to lose these games. Sometimes it's not happening for you. Now that's a good move. Cuts us open like cheese wire down here. But I think a move I wouldn't mind making anyway is this. Because we are down a queen. That's the reality of the situation. But we do have 4 pieces. We got 2 bishops and 2 rooks, which can do a lot of damage on their own. Yeah, it's on our opponent to finish this off, and I'm not going to make it easy. Interesting, interesting, very interesting. Gonna get our king slightly better positioned here. Just off this diagonal. One thing I'm thinking about is teasing this bishop away from here. Well, that's good. That's interesting. This? That's a little weird. Okay, you can have that, my man. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see what happens here. Well, that's not good. That's just a blunder of a pawn. We got a little bit excited because we saw some activity here. Sure, listen, let's just shore up shop once more. Here becomes more viable again, now that they don't have a light square bishop. Just gonna prepare this. Yeah, it's a good move. Our opponent's doing well converting. You can't fault them for their technique here. And that's gonna be checkmate. Good game for our opponents. These pet openings, man, you gotta watch them. You gotta watch them. Wrigley is all heck. You're up a pawn for one developing tempo, which again is what these gambits tend to offer. You give up a pawn, but you get to develop faster. And a little disappointed in myself that I didn't spot, or like we didn't mitigate this. We called out this tactic very early on. We fell for it the other way by not casting our king. Which, listen, it happens. I think we did a good game. We did a good job. Oh, this was a little annoying. Yeah, I think pointing out, this is a lesson, pointing out that we saw that our opponent's best response and just hoped they wouldn't find it. Hope is not a strategy, except for in like desperation times when you try to like trick them. We might have just been better finding something else. Get our queen. Even something weird like this is interesting. I think there was other things we should have done, and we didn't, and that's fine. Let's play one more game, round it up, and the fun times, they just won't stop. Again, we'll try our collie system. We didn't get to like lock it in, so let's see if we can't show you what a prepared opening looks like, and the fun of that. So the collie system, we put our bishop here, we put our knight here, we push this pawn 1 with a view to pushing it 2, cracking open the center like an egg, and having our wicked way with the king side. That's the theory. Our opponent doesn't want any of that to happen, so they're going to try to stop it. This is again kind of not quite a collie system traditional, but we can force their trade off here. We can force them to move that bishop twice. And then we do get this nice little center. This is what I've been opting for when they put their bishop here. It's just to have this nice little clump because it's central control. Can't really argue with it. We've got our knights out into their ideal home squares, and they're not blocking anybody in. That's fine. You can take there, and we'll just amass more pawns in the middle. We get nice and castled. We're not going to make that mistake again. Leaving our king in the center. Was that our mistake? Hard to say. Do we force the trade here? I think we do. Hit this, and also that. We take here, we take here. This is still hit. And also we shouldn't forget, so again I mentioned that our collie system strategy is about pushing this e4. just because things look different and it didn't go the way we were anticipating, as like the book tells you the Collie system should look, doesn't mean that we've abandoned this plan of pushing e4. We can still achieve that with a little bit of hey ho. We have a dark square bishop. Okay, so we'll get the e4 square open. Why not? Why not? Sounds good. We undouble our pawns. We get ready to absolutely hammer this home. Do we even want? Do we even want to hammer it home? Let the knight come in here. A little bit more pressure there. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. Yeah. Where to now? Big fella. We are able to get a pretty commanding position. I think we push here because we can still take and take and take and take. I think it's still viable. It's healthier than what the alternative is. Bishop up here looks very tempting. Very, very tempting. I think it still does. Listen, it's a good developing move. Connects our rooks. That's not so much of an option. It's not a good option anyway. We'll just take here. I think that remains a poor option. I think we can just push here. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. Certainly rather be in my position than theirs. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we can just throw it away like that. Throw it away. Not so much. It's a pain. We're getting a check in here. This check is well blocked. I think we just smash on open like that. And doesn't this look scary? Doesn't that just look very scary? This will look even scarier. But we can take here with check, and that gets a little hairy. Maybe even lift up here. Okay, that's not so bad. Did you take something there? No, you didn't take it. Of course you didn't. Right. Let's continue on with the fear factor. Nothing we need to be too worried about here. Slamming in early doors could be the move. And there's takes. Nah, it doesn't quite work. Doesn't quite work. Now we can take this. Takes back. Knight out here. Push. Knight in here. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. I think we can work this. I think we can make this work. Yeah. Like so. It's fine. We'll do this. Yeah, that wasn't quite it. King move was correct. We're going to just recycle this knight out as much as we can. Here and here looks good. Again, we're the one making the threats here. So while material is equal, game's probably equal to computer. I've no doubt could draw this, but I'd much rather have a pawn on the 7th rank defended by 2 rooks than be the one trying to stop all that noise. This could work next. Could be very fun. The hope is it'll free up this square for a little fork on the rook and the king. And with the pawn here, that'll be all she wrote. Good rule of thumb when you're in these positions, when your piece is one diagonal square away from a knight like that, it's going to take the knight 4 moves, I believe. It's an age, to actually reach, to attack that piece. So you're cruising here. I think this works. I think this is going to be big trouble. Yeah, that's big trouble. I think this is the way to maximize the trouble. And I think this is the way to maximize the trouble. That's not quite the way to maximize the trouble. Yeah, that was a little cheap. Ooh, was it? Yeah, it was. That was a little cheap. Should have gotten more out of that situation. We are still okay. We are up 1 pawn. Maybe make it 2. But I feel like there was... we rushed that a little. Got a little bit greedy, a little bit scared. Scared of success? Could be. And now they've got these 3 pawns which are menacing. That's a great move. That's a really nice move. No, that's fine. Because we can still do this. And then we can do this. And then this. Okay, okay. Now the thing is, don't get your pieces forked by the knight. Always and forever, that's going to be the thing. A good way to do that, keep them on different coloured squares. And another element of this, we're going to get our king involved, king in the mix. So the key here, is there a key? The key is to trade off. If we're even just left with 1 pawn extra, particularly if some of the pawns get traded, then we can make that work. By and large. But to do that, gotta stay away from the forks. And listen, if we need to put them both on light squares, we can do that, but just be careful. Just be careful, okay? Where can we go now? Tempted by this. Okay, we're gonna put them both on light squares. So we gotta watch that. We gotta watch that. For example, if he ends up here, that's trouble. Okay, perfect. A little fork is not gonna do anyone any harm. I'm gonna take this time to get our king off the light square because he did have access to that square if the king moved. There is a checking square here, but it's covered by the knight himself. And if the king doesn't move here, well, then I think we win. I think we win now because that knight is pinned to the king. King is also attacking the knight. Ooh, again, don't wanna... We're in no rush. We're in no rush to work that out. So we don't want to blunder them getting in the back door with a queen. Still no rush. Still no rush. This is locked in. Our king has to move before the knight can move. And we just do this. Ain't no way the king is stopping all of these pawns. Just do this. That seems like the easiest way. Don't want to get a stalemate here, but we can just force the king this way, and then this fella's going to be home free. Let's just do this. Definitely making a meal of this, but that's okay. Let's pop the king back again. Kind of when he gets down to these last few rows, that's where we want to be a little bit careful that we leave him moves. Bang. I think we actually just zugzwang him. We just make him move back here, and then that's checkmate. Bang. Lovely, lovely stuff. All right, that is 3 games. Thank you for sticking around for all those. This one was a fun one. What happened again? We got to play our collie system. That got a little bit disrupted by the bishop in the early stages where they put their bishop here. I say go ahead. Go ahead and play. If they choose to take there, you're still left with a very nice structure there that can be used as a springboard up the board, which was exactly what we did. And I think it was our heroic... it turned into our e-pawn, but it was that the pawn that captured back the bishop ended up being the one, the bone in the throat, or was anyway one of our central pawns ended up popping it here. And like, again, we're equal material, but like this is a huge advantage because of how worried you have to be that it can go and promote. Becomes the focal point of the whole game. Can they stop it promoting without losing material? Can we force them to give up material to stop it promoting? Which I think is what we did in the end. In the very, very end. Oh, we got the fork here, yeah. And the knight takes... But we kind of just cashed in our chips here, which in the end was enough. Don't know if our opponent made it as hard as they could have in the end, but loved this pin of the knight to the king. And don't fall asleep at the wheel. Don't let them get a queen and swing the entire game. Just know that this was fixed in position and you'll be good to go. That is going to be all from me, folks. I hope you got a good flavour of the incredible joy those games brought me. I really do mean that. That was a lot of fun. Just playing some good old-fashioned chess. Hope you maybe picked up a thing or two about the game, or if not, picked up some infectious love of the game. That'd be the ideal scenario. But in any case, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoy your chess. If you do like chess content like this and want to get a little bit better at the game, we post kind of instructional and fun content here, so feel free to subscribe and stick around. And most importantly, enjoy your chess. All the best.